Barak Yahuwah, Barak Yahuwah, Barak Yahuwah. Shalom and good evening, peace and blessings. Shalom and barakut to all who are present, all who are near, and all who are far off, all who will hear this message, this proclamation later on, to the whole house of YAHUAH'S, worldwide, all 12 tribes, wherever your feet are touching the soil, on this evening, on this Laila, peace and blessings to you and your house. Shalom and barakut to you and your entire house. Shalom and good evening to the elder brother Yehuda. Shalom and good evening to the younger brother Ephraim. Shalom and good evening to the former stranger, the former foreigner, who was formerly estranged from the everlasting covenant, but having received the Ruach of adoption, the Ruach HaKadosh, the spirit of separation, the separated spirit, who is Yahushua HaMashiach, and whereby having been engrafted into the olive tree, who is Yahushua, who is YAHUAH'S, and whereby now having become privy to the same everlasting covenant and promise and inheritance that was given to YAHUAH'S and to YAHUAH'S alone. Shalom and good evening to all of you, to the whole house of YAHUAH'S, all 12 tribes, wherever you are listening under the sound of my voice, whether you are here live or whether you will hear this message, this teaching, this proclamation later on. Shalom and barakut, peace and blessings to you and your entire house. Once again, to those of you who will hear this message, this proclamation, this teaching later on, who are on YouTube, once again, we're grateful that you've tuned in. We're grateful that Yahuwah has drawn you to his channel. It is Yahuwah's Remnant channel. It's his channel. It's not our channel. It's not my channel. It is his channel. This channel has his namesake, Yahuwah's Remnant. And we are a gathering of his remnant people across the whole face of this flat plain earth, of whom he's gathering in this end time season, sealing with the seal of the living Elohim upon our foreheads, which is to say, breathing the breath of life, the Ruach HaKadosh, the separated Ruach into us, the spirit, the Ruach of separation into us, separating us from the wicked, separating us from destruction, separating us unto light. This is who we are. This is who Yahuwah's Remnant is. We are not some church, 501(c) organization. Neither are we some camp, or neither are we some ministry. We simply are who we are, and that is Yahuwah's Remnant. Once again, we welcome y'all on YouTube, and we're grateful that the Master has led you this way to fellowship with us, this Yahuwah's Remnant, on our midweek gathering, our 4th day gathering. We are grateful that he has sent you our way, and once again, to those of you who are on YouTube and who will hear this later on, if you have a desire to join us live for either on our 4th day gatherings, midweek gatherings, otherwise called Wednesday, or our Shabbat gatherings, otherwise what men call Saturday, when this message is uploaded, there's going to be an email address in the video description box, of which you can use to email us if you have a desire to fellowship with us, either during our midweek gatherings or on our Shabbat gatherings. We'd love to hear from you. We really would. We really would. It's very encouraging when we hear from those amongst the nations who have a desire to fellowship with us. It indeed is. It is very, very encouraging for us to hear from you. So if you have a desire to fellowship with us, there will be an email address located in the video description box once this video is uploaded. Nevertheless, once again, you now know who we are. We are Yahuwah's Remnant. You now know who we are and what we are. And we are Yahuwah's Remnant. Welcome to our midweek gathering. I am Daoud ben Yahuwah, and this is my Aisha, which is to say wife, Ashayah.
Shalom, shalom.
Barak Yahuwah. Barak Yahuwah. Barak Yahuwah. There is a word from the Master. There is a word from the Master in this season of a greater separation. In this season of greater separation, of a greater separation going on throughout the earth as he seals his people with the seal of the living Elohim, there is a word from the Master to his remnant people, to those of whom have a desire to be separated unto him, to be separated from destruction and separated unto life. There is a word from the Master. We're not going to, this is a midweek, and we're not going to recap much. Listen, for those of you on YouTube, for those of you that are here for the first time, if this is your first time, you got a whole lot of catching up to do. And we're out of time. We literally have no more time, and you have a whole lot of catching up to do. We're not looking backwards, we're looking forward. And so I'm not going to recap what the Master spoke about on the Shabbat day or what he spoke about last fourth day, last Wednesday. You're going to have to go back and look at those videos. You're going to have to, in fact, go back further than that to catch up to where the Master is and what he's talking, what thus says Yahuwah to his people in this season. And so we're not going to delay this thing. We're on the subject now of a greater separation. This is where the Master has us. He is awakening his people and alerting us that indeed that there is a greater separation going on in this season. And that greater separation is separating his remnant, his covenant people, separating us unto himself, separating us and preserving us and saving us from the hour of trial, which is soon to come upon this earth. His remnant people is his covenant people. His covenant people is the house of Yehudah, which was never divorced. The house of Ephraim was divorced in 722 BCE and remains divorced until this day. They do not have to be divorced. The blood of the renewed covenant has been shed, and they are welcome to come back into covenant with the Master through the shed redemptive blood of Yahushua HaMashiach via the shed blood of the renewed covenant. This is all you need to know right now. But what you need, you need to know this very important thing, that the house of Yehudah, the Master has said that Yehudah goes first. His covenant people go first, are the first to be brought to Mount Zion. It is the house of Yehudah, his covenant people, of whom he desires to keep from the hour of trial, which is soon to come upon the earth. If you desire to know more, you need to go back in the archives and begin to work through and watch the videos, the messages that the Master has already spoken. But I will remind you of this. A year ago, before last Sukkot, the Master uttered these words: "Behold, I do a great separation. Behold, I do a great separation." Indeed, after Sukkot, we, those who have eyes to see, indeed saw that there was a great separation indeed occurring. And it was plain to see. It was very plain to see. It was not hidden. There was a great separation occurring right before our eyes. Right before this Sukkot, the Master spoke that he was getting ready to do a greater separation. A greater separation. And the word from the Master is that greater separation has begun. That greater separation has begun. That greater separation has a number. And that number is 144,000 worldwide, whom he desires to keep from the hour of trial, the great distress, YAHUAH'S distress, a time of death and mayhem, unlike the earth has ever seen, and unlike the earth will ever see again. That greater separation has begun. And once he has separated the number of his people that ought to be separated unto him, he will separate, he will seal no more. The Master has told us now, has taught us, and has alerted us that it is he who separates. It is he who separates, and it is via his separated spirit, it is via his separated ruach in which this greater separation is occurring in this season. He has alerted us that Yahushua HaMashiach is that greater separation, because Yahushua HaMashiach is the Ruach HaKadosh. He is the separated spirit, as he and Yahuwah are one. If it does not look like Yahuwah, like Yahusha, it is wrong. He is the greater separation. And there is no greater message that is being proclaimed in this season, that Yahusha is in fact the greater separation. Indeed, if he be lifted up, he will draw all men unto him. He is the greater separation. He is the stone laid in Zion. He is the stone that the builders rejected that has become the chief cornerstone. He is a stumbling block. He is still a stumbling block. He has always been a stumbling block. Does not many have this greater separation inside of them, thus being separated from death unto life. 144,000 worldwide are a part of this greater separation. 144,000 worldwide are a part of this greater separation. So without further delay, I'm not going to go into any more detail about what's already been proclaimed through the mouth of his servant. If you desire to have an understanding of that, I encourage you to go and watch the previous proclamations, teachings, messages that the Master has already spoken through his servant. I encourage you to at least start, if this is your first time, to at least start at Searching for the Ancient Path, Part 54. At least start there at Searching for the Ancient Path, Part 54. Nevertheless, there is a message for his people tonight. There is a message from Yahuwah for his remnant people this evening, moving along the path and staying along the path of this greater separation, and staying along this building block, staying along this foundation, because there is no greater message being proclaimed in this season than the greater separation that is occurring right in our midst, right before our eyes. And so if you are taking notes this evening, the title of this teaching is Searching for the Ancient Path, Part 85. Searching for the Ancient Path, Part 85. Threshing Floor, Separation. Threshing Floor, Separation. The destroyer comes. The destroyer comes. Searching for the Ancient Path, Part 85. Threshing Floor, Separation. Threshing Floor, Separation. The destroyer comes. We're talking about a greater separation. A greater separation in the midst of earth, unlike the earth has ever seen before. As there are 7+ billion people in this earth, and amongst that 7+ billion people in the earth, 144,000 worldwide are being separated from them, are being separated from death to life, are being separated and kept from the destroyer, death manifested in flesh, which is soon to come upon this earth, keeping them from him and preserving them unto life. 144,000 worldwide during this greater separation, who are being separated via the seal of the living Elohim, which is the separated Ruach, which is the Ruach HaKadosh, which is the Ruach of separation, who is Yahushua HaMashiach. He and the Father are one. This is the Ruach HaKadosh. He is the greater separation. He is the greater separation. It is he who is separating the people of Yahuwah from death to life in this season. There is no greater message that is being proclaimed. Line upon line, precept upon precept, here a little, there a little. Searching for the Ancient Path, Part 84, Threshing Floor, Separation. The destroyer comes. The destroyer comes. Yahusha is the greater separation. The Ruach HaKadosh is the greater separation. He is the spirit of separation. He is the separated spirit, in which some call the set-apart spirit, and in which some calls the Holy Spirit, but that is false. He is the separated spirit who separates us from death to life. He is the greater separation, the seal of the living Elohim that is going forth in this season, separating his chosen people, his remnant people, his covenant people from death to life. Leviticus chapter 25. Uikra, Leviticus chapter 25. Threshing floor, separation. Threshing floor, separation. The destroyer comes. Uikra, Leviticus chapter 25. Leviticus, Uikra chapter 25. Beginning at verse 25 And we're going to read down through verse 55. I'm not going to speak much about what's getting ready to be read. What's getting ready to be read is merely a foundational text that's going to lead into what the Master has to say to his people this night. It is merely a foundational text. You'll understand as the Master begins to speak and proclaim. But Leviticus 25, verses 25 through 55, little one is going to read. But I'm going to say very little if I say anything, because it is merely a foundational text. And so you need to listen very carefully, because it is a foundational text, and it's foundational to what the Master is going to speak going forward this night. Leviticus chapter 25, Uikra, chapter 25, verses 25 through 55. Beginning at verse 25. Read for us, little one.
When your brother becomes poor and has sold some of his possession, and his redeemer, a close relative, comes to redeem it, then he shall redeem what his brother sold. And when the man has no one to redeem it, but he himself becomes able to redeem it, then let him count the years since its sale, and return the remainder to the man to whom he sold it, that he shall return to his possession. And if his hand has not found enough to give back to him, then what was sold shall remain in the hand of him who bought it until the year of Yabal, and it shall be released in the Yabal, and he shall return to his possession. And when a man sells a house in a walled city, then his right of redemption shall be at the end of the year after it is sold. His right of redemption lasts a year. But if it is not redeemed within a complete year, then the house in the walled city shall be established beyond reclaim to the buyer of it throughout his generations. It is not released in the Yabal. The houses of villages, however, which have no wall around them, are reckoned as the field of the country. A right of redemption belongs to it, and they are released in the Yabal. As for the cities of the Lewites and the house in the cities of their possessions, the Lewites have a right of redemption forever. After that which is redeemed from the Lewites, both the sale of a house and the city of his possession shall be released in the year of Yabal, because the houses and the cities of the Lewites are their possession in the midst of the children of Yasharal. But the field of the open land of their cities is not sold, for it is their everlasting possession. And when your brother becomes poor, and his hand has failed with you, then you shall strengthen him, and he shall live with you like a stranger or a sojourner. Take no interest from him, or profit, but you shall fear your Elohim, and your brother shall live with you. Do not lend him your silver on interest, and do not lend him your food for profit. I am Yahuwah your Elohim, who brought you out of the land of Mitzrayim, to give you the land of Canaan to be your Elohim. And when your brother who dwells by you becomes poor, and sells himself to you, do not make him serve as a slave, but as a hired servant, as a settler. He is with you, and serves you until the year of Yabal. And then he shall leave you, he and his children with him, and he shall return to his own clan, even return to the possession of his fathers. For they are my servants whom I brought out of the land of Mitzrayim. They are not sold as slaves. Do not rule over him with harshness, but you shall fear your Elohim, and your male and female slaves whom you have from the nations that are around you, from them you buy male and female slaves. And also from the sons of the sojourner, strangers sojourning among you, from them you buy, and from their clans who are with you, which they shall bring forth in your land, and they shall be your property. And you shall take them as an inheritance for your children after you, to inherit them as a possession. They are your slaves for all time. But over your brothers, the children of Yasharal, you do not rule with harshness, one over another. Now when a sojourner or a settler with you becomes rich, and your brother with him becomes poor, and sells himself to the settler or sojourner with you, or to a member of the sojourner's clan, after he has been sold, there is a right of redemption to him. One of his brothers does redeem him, or his uncle's sons does redeem him, or anyone who is a close relative to him in his clan does redeem him, or if he is able, then he shall redeem himself, and he shall reckon with him who bought him. The price of his release shall be according to the number of years, from the year that he was sold to him until the year of Yabal. As the days of a hired servant, it is with him. If there are yet many years according to them, he repays the price of his redemption from the silver of his purchase. And if few years are left until the year of Yabal, then he shall reckon with him, and according to his years, he repays him the price of his redemption. He is with him as a yearly hired servant, and he does not rule with harshness over him before your eyes. And if he is not redeemed in these years, then he shall be released in the year of Yabal, he and his children with him. Because the children of Yasharal are servants to me. They are my servants whom I brought out of the land of Mitzrayim. I am Yahuwah your Elohim.
Barak Yahuwah, Barak Yahuwah. Thank you, little one.
Barak, always came to the master.
Barak Yahuwah, Barak Yahuwah. So here, the foundation that's laid is the right of redemption. The right of redemption. If someone sells their land or sells their possessions, then their brother or close relative has a right of redemption to reclaim that land for his brother who can't afford to redeem it. Or if a brother sells himself into slavery or sells himself into bondage, his brother, his kinsman, who is able to redeem him or who is able to purchase him, he has a right of redemption to purchase his brother and to redeem him from bondage. The one that has sold himself into bondage because he fell on hard times, he is to redeem him. Or if a brother falls upon hard time and he does not sell himself into slavery, but he needs a little help, then you who are able, you are to take him into your home, and you're not to charge him interest for his food, and you're not to treat him as a slave, but rather as a hired servant. You're to treat him as a hired servant, and you're not to treat him harshly, because we are servants of Yahuwah Elohim, the Elohim of Shamayim and Arats. We are his servants. We are his servants. And so there is a right of redemption. There is a right of redemption. This should strike a chord now when reading Deuteronomy 28, verse 68, when talking about the curses, if we do not obey Yahuwah, if we do not obey his commands, that we would go back into Egypt, we would go back into Mitzrayim by way of ship, and there we would be sold as male and female slaves, and no one would redeem us. No one at that point would redeem us. But here, nevertheless, the foundation here is the right of redemption. The right of redemption for sold land and sold possessions. The right of redemption if one sells himself into bondage. We're talking here about a right of redemption. This is the foundational text. The right of redemption. Barak Yahuwah. Give us another precept, little one. Go ahead. Barak Yahuwah, Barak Yahuwah. Now, to give you some understanding of what you just read, moving forward, to give you some understanding of what was just read, listen to the master, because our redemption is what? It's all about the redemption of man. It's all about the redemption of mankind. Adam meaning man, and by extension meaning mankind. It's all about the redemption of his firstborn, of his Yaqib, of his only begotten, of the apple of his eye, his firstborn son, Adam, which was passed down from Adam to Yasharal, his firstborn, his Yaqib, his only begotten, the apple of his eye. So what happened, you say? What happened? What happened was Adam sold all his possessions. Yes, he did. Adam sold all of his possessions that the Father had given to him. Not only did Adam sell his possessions, but Adam sold himself into slavery. Yes, he did. He sold himself into bondage. He not only sold himself into bondage, but he sold all his possessions. And he could not afford to redeem himself from bondage. Neither could he afford to buy back his possessions. Neither could he afford to buy back his possessions. But in the year Yubal, the text declares that Adam's possessions are going to be given back to him, and that he's going to be released from bondage. He's going to be released from bondage. But there's something else here that the master wants you to understand. There's something else. But looking at the overall picture here, you see, something has to be established in the Torah in order for a legal precedence, a legal right to be laid down. If it's laid forth, you see, everything has to obey the word of Elohim. Whether seen or unseen, everything has to obey it. If it is written, whether it is in Shemayim on earth, it has to obey the written Torah. The Torah declares that there is a right of redemption when a brother is sold into bondage. There's a right of redemption when he sells his possession. And Adam could not afford to rebuy those possessions, to repurchase them. Neither could he afford the cost, the price, to release himself from bondage. Someone could, however. Someone could. I pray you're understanding this. Torah is the legal precedence that everything has to obey. Everything. Hasatan, his horde, the fallen ones, everything has to obey the Torah. So a legal precedence was laid here. And the living Torah came wrapped up in flesh and fulfilled that which was written about him in the Torah and in the writings and in the prophets. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. So your brother, he got a right of redemption. He got a right of redemption for both you, if you sell yourself into bondage, and he got a right of redemption for your land. For your land. Nevertheless, moving forward, but the master wanted you to understand the bigger picture here of what the Torah is talking about. It's about the redemption of man. The redemption of mankind, who sold himself into bondage, both him and his seed, and who sold his possessions. All his possessions. All the earth now. Because now Hasatan is the Elohim of this earth for now. And man didn't have enough money to buy it back. But someone did. A kinsman redeemer did. He had the right of redemption. He had the right of redemption. Give us another precept, little one.
1 Peter 1:18-20.
1 Peter now. 1 Peter 1. Master just laying a foundation here. 1 Peter 1. What verses, little one?
18-20.
Verses 18-20. Kapha Alaf. Verses 18-20. 1 Peter 1. Verses 18-20. For those of you who don't understand, this is about firstborn. And this is about the inheritance of the firstborn. Adam was firstborn. That inheritance passed down through firstborn sons. That the same inheritance passed down through firstborn sons, all the way down through firstborn sons till it got to Noach and to Shem and then to Eva and then to Abraham, Yitzchak and Yaakov, Yahusuf and Ephraim, all the way down to who? To the second Adam. To the second Adam, who came as the firstborn of all creation. Yahushua HaMashiach, who came back to redeem his brother. Yes, he did. To redeem his brother and his possessions. And his possessions. But that price was high. The price was very high to redeem the possessions and to redeem his brother. The price was very high. So high that Adam couldn't afford it. No man could afford it. No man could afford that price of redemption. Only one perfect man could. Yahuwah himself wrapped up in flesh, coming in the person of Yahushua HaMashiach, born, perfectly conceived of ruach, of breath, of wind, and born perfectly, walking perfectly, without sin, walking perfectly in the footsteps of his children, of his son Adam, and of his children YAHUAH, walking in their footsteps perfectly, retracing their footsteps and walking in their footsteps, so that where they failed, he succeeded. And now through him we have the right to become children of Elohim. We're talking about the right of redemption that none could afford but this kinsman redeemer. Oh, it's all about Yahushua. Yes, it is. The great separation. It's all about him. If you ain't talking about him, you ain't talking about nothing. He is the greater separation. If he isn't in you, you have no life in you. You're dead man walking. You're dead woman walking. No one else can redeem you. You're in bondage, you're in slavery, and no one else can redeem you but him. No one else can redeem my possessions but him. Only he could pay the price. What price was it, little one? Come on, read. 1 Peter chapter 1, verses 18 through 20.
Knowing that you are redeemed from your futile behavior inherited from your fathers, not with what is corruptible, silver or gold,
yes,
but with the precious blood of Mashiach,
yes,
as a lamb unblemished,
yes,
and spotless,
yes,
foreknown indeed before the foundation of the world,
yes,
but manifested in these last times for your sake.
Barak Yahuwah. If you have not been redeemed by him, hear him. If this greater separation is not in you, if you have not been redeemed by him, you still belong to the devil. Because Adam sold us to him and sold all of our possessions to him. If his blood doesn't course through your veins, you haven't been redeemed. You're still in bondage. You're still in Egypt. Perhaps you will be redeemed in the year of Yuval. Perhaps. But you don't have to wait until the year of Jubilee to be redeemed by him. You don't have to wait till the 50th Jubilee to be redeemed by him. You can be redeemed now by his redemptive blood. And in this season, little one, that number is 144,000 who are getting this understanding. You were sold into slavery, into bondage. And our brother who had the right of redemption has redeemed us with his very own blood, provided that the greater separation is in you. That his blood courses through your veins. Hear him. If he has not redeemed you, that means you still belong to the destroyer, and the destroyer comes. He's coming. And the majority of the earth are still under his subjection, are still living in Egypt, are still living in bondage, are still sold over to slavery, having no true possessions, having no life, sold into bondage because they reject the stone that the builders have rejected, who has become the chief cornerstone, the greater separation. And when the destroyer comes, he's going to have a right to those who belong to him. He is Pharaoh. The master just told you that there is legal precedence. He has a right to those who have not been redeemed by the redemptive blood of Yahushua HaMashiach, the greater separation. He has a right to them. And the destroyer comes. The destroyer comes. He came to set us free. Whom the Son sets free is free indeed. He came to set us free and to release us from slavery, the bondage that we were sold into by our father Adam. And he came to redeem our possessions. Yes, he did. He came to redeem our possessions. In this season, in the greater separation, some understand this message. Some have this blood coursing through their veins, have the separated spirit, have the separated ruach in them, who separates us from the hand of the adversary, who separates us from chains and shackles and Egypt and restores us back to freedom, and who restores our possessions. Our kinsman redeemer, Yahushua HaMashiach, But only if the greater separation is in you. Yahushua HaMashiach, the separated Ruach, the Ruach HaKadosh, having the seal of the living Elohim, 144,000 worldwide. All the rest, they are the possessions of Hasatan. They belong to him. He got it legally. They're legally his. They are legally his. Whether it was done through trickery or otherwise, they are legally his. And Yahuwah, being Torah, came back and legally redeeming his brother as he came as the second Adam. He came in accordance with the Torah to fulfill what was written about him in the Torah, in the prophets, and the writings. And he came to redeem his brother, not with silver or gold or perishable things, but by his very own shed dam, in which, if it courses through your veins, you have now been separated by the separated spirit and separated from the hand of Hasatan and separated from bondage from Egypt, from chains and shackles, and you have been set free. And your possessions have been restored to you. Otherwise, legally, you still belong to Pharaoh, and he coming soon. Death, destruction is coming soon to claim what is his. To claim what is his. There is no greater message being proclaimed. He is the greater separation. He is a separated Ruach. If you don't have him, you don't have life. You are separated unto death. Death is coming soon. Bodies piled on top of bodies. Mayhem unlike the earth has ever seen before, and unlike it will ever see again. And if those days are not short, no flesh will remain. If you hear this message this day, harden not your heart. There's a greater separation going on. Give us another precept, little one.
The book of Ruth.
Come on now. Master's laid a foundation. And come on, let's go, let's walk with him. He's laid a foundation. There's a legal precedence here that he has laid. There's a legal precedence, a legal framework that is laid in the Torah. And he's giving you some understanding here of what's going on in this greater separation. Come on, let's walk with him through the book of Ruth. Commonly called Ruth. Let's walk with it through the book of Ruth, the entire book of Ruth. Chapters 1 through 4. We're now talking about a threshing floor separation. The destroyer comes. Threshing floor separation. The destroyer comes. The book of Ruth, chapters 1 through 4. Threshing floor separation. The destroyer comes. The destroyer comes. Beginning in the book of Ruth, the first chapter. Beginning at verse 1. Come on, read for us, little one.
And it came to be in the days when the rulers ruled, that there was a scarcity of food in the land. And a man from Ba'ith Lakam, Yehudah, went to sojourn in the fields of Moab, he and his wife and his 2 sons. And the name of that man was Amalek, and the name of his wife was Naomi, and the name of his 2 sons was Machlun and Kaliun, Aphratites, of Ba'ith Lakam, Yehudah. And they went to the fields of Moab and came to be there. And Amalek, husband of Naomi, died, and she was left with her 2 sons. And they took 2 wives of the women of Moab. The name of the one was Ophrah, and the name of the other was Ruth. And they dwelt there about 10 years. And Machlun and Kayun also died, both of them. So the women were bereaved of her 2 sons, a woman, and of her husband. And she rose up with her daughters-in-law and returned from the fields of Moab. For she had heard in the fields of Moab that Yahuwah had visited his people in giving them bread. And she left the place where she was, and her 2 daughters-in-law with her. And they went on the way to return to the land of Yehudah. And Naomi said to her 2 daughters-in-law, Go return each to her mother's house. Yahuwah show loving commitment to you, as you have shown to the dead and to me. Yahuwah grant that you find rest each in the house of her husband. Then she kissed them, and they lifted up their voices and wept. And they said to her, No, we shall go back with you to your people. But Naomi said, Go back, my daughters. Why go with me? Have I still sons in my womb, that they should become your husbands? Go back, my daughters, Go your way, for I am too old to have a husband. If I should say I have expectancy, even if I should have a husband tonight, and should also bear sons, would you wait for them till they were grown? Would you shut yourselves up not to have a husband? No, my daughters, for it is much more bitter for me than for you, because the hand of Yahuwah has gone out against me. And they lifted up their voices and wept again. And Oprah kissed her mother-in-law, but Ruth clung to her. And she said, look, your sister-in-law has gone back to her people and to her mighty ones. Go back, follow your sister-in-law. But Ruth said, do not urge me to leave you, or to go back from following after you.
What'd she say?
For wherever you go, I go.
Mm-hmm.
And wherever you stop over, I stop over.
Mm-hmm.
Your people is my people,
Mm-hmm.
and your Elohim is my Elohim.
Mm-hmm.
Where you die, I die,
Mm-hmm.
and there I shall be buried.
Mm-hmm.
Yahuwah does so to me, and more also, for death itself parts you and me.
Mm-hmm.
And when she saw that she was strengthening herself to go with her,
Mm-hmm.
she ceased to speak to her.
Uh-huh.
And both of them went until they came to Ba'ith Lakam. And it came to be when they had come to Ba'ith Lakam that all the city was moved because of them. And they said, is this Naomi? And she said to them, do not call me Naomi, call me Mara, for the Almighty has dealt very bitterly with me. I went out field, and Yahuwah has brought me back empty.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you call me Naomi?
Mm-hmm.
Since Yahuwah has witnessed against me,
Mm-hmm.
and the Almighty has done evil to me.
Mm-hmm.
Thus Naomi returned, and Ruth the Moabitess, her daughter-in-law, with her, who returned from the fields of Moab, and they came to Ba'ith Lakam at the beginning of the barley harvest.
Barak Yahuwah. Barak Yahuwah. Nothing here should be overlooked. Nothing here can be overlooked. First of all, this is the wheat harvest. Yes, it is. And we're talking about a threshing floor separation. This is the wheat harvest that's going on here. When this Moabitess comes back to the land of Yehuda, Bethlehem, Ba'ith Lakam, with her mother-in-law, Naomi, this Moabitess comes back, in which the Torah declares, the Torah had already been given, that a Moabitess and Moabite can never enter into the assembly of Yahuwah. Not even to the 10th generation can they enter into the assembly of Yahuwah. Yahuwah, however, has already declared that he came for mankind, that a kinsman redeemer came for mankind, that he came to redeem man, that he came to redeem mankind. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. A kinsman redeemer came to purchase him. Purchase man, purchase Adam, our male and female. He created them to purchase them and to redeem him from the hand of the adversary, to redeem him from slavery, to redeem him from bondage, and restore him to life, to restore him to freedom. Not only that, but to restore his possessions, little one. But to restore his possessions. Yes, he did. His possession is the whole earth, of which the adversary has stolen. So a Moabitess, according to the Torah, cannot ever enter into the assembly of Yahuwah, not even down to the 10th generation. But this Moabitess, our woman here says that, no, don't forbid me to go. Don't bid me to go. Where you go, I go. Where you die, I die. Your Elohim is my Elohim, and your people are my people. Making this declaration, Ruth here now is no longer a Moabitess. She is a Yashali. Yes, she is. She is a Yashali. And thus, the Master Yahuwah is using the people, his people, Yasharal, to redeem the whole of mankind. As Yasharal being the olive tree. And if mankind desires to be redeemed, they must engraft into the olive tree and do the instructions that were given to the olive tree. He came to redeem man, to redeem him from slavery and from the adversary, to loose his bounds, and to restore him to freedom, and to restore not only his freedom, but to restore his possessions unto him, as written in the Torah, as a kinsman redeemer is supposed to do, according to the righteous Torah. And so Ruth here, being of the Gentiles, being of the nations, again, I draw your attention. He came to redeem man. He came to redeem all mankind. But he desires to use his light, his living menorah, called Yasharal, provided that you are a living menorah, provided that light is in you, provided that the light of Torah is in you, the Ruach HaKadosh, the separated Ruach, provided he is in you, making you his covenant people. He has called you to be a light to the Gentiles, so that through us, we would be messengers of reconciliation, to redeem all mankind, all of Adam, so that they hear the message of the Bashorah, of the good news, that there has been bloodshed, that the sheddom of Yahushua HaMashiach has been shed. His blood is the blood of the renewed covenant that is shed to restore you back to covenant with the Master, to redeem you from the bonds of the adversary, to restore you to freedom and to restore your possessions to you. This is the good news. And the good news is for all mankind, all of Adam. So there's something taking place here. We find a Moabitess who says, who the Torah says, you can't come into the assembly of the Master, not even to the 10th generation. But we find this Moabitess making a declaration, no, I forsake my people. I forsake them. Your people now are going to become my people. Your Elohim is my Elohim. Where you go, I go, and where you die, I die. Barak Yahuwah. Barak Yahuwah. What a beautiful text. Come on, let's go to chapter 2. Mm-hmm.
And Naomi had a relative on her husband's side, a man of great wealth, of the clan of Elimelech, and his name was Boaz.
His name was Boaz,
And Ruth the Moabitess said to Naomi, please let me go to the field and glean heads of grain after him.
Now, you who read the text, you know that Boaz was a Yahudi man. Yes, we're talking about Yahudah. This is the greater separation. Yahudah is the greater separation. 144,000 Yahudim redeemed from the earth, being his first fruit. Being his first fruit. Oh, we're talking about a wheat harvest right here. We're talking about a threshing floor separation. Boaz is a Yahudi man. Yes, he is. He is a Yahudi man. He is a kinsman redeemer. As a Yahudi man came to redeem all men, all mankind, all Gentiles, all the nations. A Yahudi man came to redeem Adam. Yes, he did. As we're getting ready to read here, a Yahudi man is getting ready to redeem one of the nations. Come on, read.
In whose eyes I find favor. So she said to her, go, my daughter. And she left and went and gleaned in the field after the reapers.
Gleaning wheat. Come on.
As it turned out, she came to the part of the field belonging to Boaz, the near relative of Elimelech. And see, Boaz had come from Baith Lakam, and said to the reapers, Yahuwah be with you. And they answered him, Yahuwah bless you. And Boaz said to his servant, who was appointed over the reapers, whose young woman is this? So the servant who was appointed over the reapers answered and said, it is the young Moabite woman who came back with Naomi from the fields of Moab. And she said, please let me glean and gather among the sheaves behind the reapers. And she came and has remained from morning until now. She sat a little in the house. And Boaz said to Ruth, you have heard, have you not, my daughter? Do not go to glean in another field, nor go from here, but stay close to my young women. Let your eyes be on the field which they reap, and you shall go after them. Have I not commanded the young men not to touch you? And when you are thirsty, go to the vessels and drink from what the young men have drawn. And she fell on her face, bowed down to the ground, and said to him, why have I found favor in your eyes, that you should take notice of me, seeing I am a foreigner? And Boaz answered and said to her, I have been told all that you have done for your mother-in-law since the death of your husband, and how you have left your father and your mother and the land of your birth, and have come to a people whom you did not know before. Yahuwah repay your work, and your reward is complete from Yahuwah Elohim of Yasharal, under whose wings you have come to seek refuge. And she said, let me find favor in your eyes, my master, because you have comforted me, and have spoken the heart of your female servant. Though I am not like one of your female servants. And Boaz said to her, come here at mealtime. Then you shall eat of the bread and dip your piece of bread in the vinegar. And she sat beside the reapers, and he passed roasted grain to her, and she ate and was satisfied and had leftover. And she rose up to glean, and Boaz commanded his young men, saying, Let her glean even among the sheaves, and do not embarrass her. Rather draw out from the bundles for her, and leave it for her to glean, and do not restrain her. And she gleaned in the field until evening, and beat out that which she had gleaned. And it was about an ephah of barley. And she took it up and went into the city, and her mother-in-law saw what she had gleaned. And she brought out and gave to her what she had left over after she was satisfied. Then her mother-in-law asked her, Where have you gleaned today? And where did you work? Blessed be the one who took notice of you. And she told her mother-in-law with whom she had worked, and said, The name of the man I work today with is Boaz. And Naomi said to her daughter-in-law, Blessed be he of YAHUAH, who has not forsaken his loving commitment to the living and the dead.
Barak Yahuwah, come on.
And Naomi said to her, The man is a relative of ours,
Barak Yahuwah,
one of our redeemers.
one of our redeemers.
And Ruth the Moabitess said, He also said to me, Stay close to my young people until they have completed all my harvest. And Naomi said to Ruth, her daughter-in-law, It is good, my daughter, that you go out with his young women, and that they do not meet you in any other field. And she stayed close by the young women of Boaz to glean, till the completion of barley harvest and wheat harvest.
To the completion of the wheat harvest, she stayed near to his young women. I draw your attention again. This is the wheat harvest. And we're talking now about a threshing floor separation. Yes, the destroyer comes. The destroyer comes. But your Redeemer lives, and he desires to redeem you and to separate you from destruction. We're talking about a threshing floor separation. The destroyer, he does come. Come on, read.
But she dwelt with her mother-in-law. And that's the end of that.
Barak Yahuwah. Let's move to chapter 3. Chapter 3, Ruth, chapter 3. Ruth, chapter 3, beginning at verse 1. Come on, read, little one.
And Naomi, her mother-in-law, said to her,
Listen,
My daughter,
listen.
Should I not seek rest for you, so that it is well with you?
Yahuwah, should the master not seek rest for you, so that it is well for you? Come on, listen.
And now is not Boaz, with whose young women you have been, our relative?
Yeah. See,
he is winnowing barley tonight at the threshing floor.
Where's he at, little one?
At the threshing floor.
Oh, do you not understand that Boaz? Boaz is a shadow. Boaz is a shadow, Yahudah. This Yahudi man is a shadow. Are you listening to the instructions? Listen closely to the instructions. He's down there at the threshing floor, threshing the wheat. He's down there at the threshing floor. Listen closely to the instructions that I give you. Come on, read.
And you shall bathe and anoint yourself.
Oh! Wash your filthy garments, Yahudah. Wash yourself and cleanse your filthy hands. Wash yourselves, Yahudah, in preparation to go down to the threshing floor. Come on, read, little one.
And put your garments on and go down to the threshing floor. Do not make yourself known to the man until he has finished eating and drinking. And it shall be when he lies down that you shall notice the place where he lies.
Yeah.
And shall go in and uncover his feet and lie down.
Go down to the threshing floor and uncover his feet and lie down. Come on, read.
And let him make known to you what you should do.
Yes.
And she said to her, All that you say to me, I do.
Come on.
And she went down to the threshing floor.
Yes.
And did according to all that her mother-in-law commanded her. And Boaz ate and drank, and his heart was glad. And he went to lie down at the end of the heap of grain.
Yeah.
And she came softly and uncovered his feet and lay down. And it came to be at midnight that the man was startled. And turned himself and saw a woman lying at his feet. And he said, Who are you? And she answered, I am Ruth, your female servant.
I am mankind. I am a dog, your female servant. Come on.
Now you shall spread your cover over your female servant.
Now you shall spread your cover over me. You shall cover me. You shall marry me. And all this took place down on the threshing floor. Come on, read.
For you are a redeemer.
For you are a redeemer.
And he said, Blessed are you of Yahuwah, my daughter,
Mm-hmm.
for you have shown more loving commitment at the end than at the beginning, not to go after young men, whether poor or rich.
Mm-hmm.
And now, my daughter, do not fear.
Do not fear, Yahuwah.
That you say I do for you.
All that you say he will do for you if you go down to the threshing floor. Read.
For all the people of my town know that you are a capable woman.
Yeah.
And now it is true that I am your redeemer.
I am your redeemer.
However, there is a redeemer nearer than I.
Uh-huh.
Stop over tonight, and in the morning it shall be that if he does redeem you, good, let him do it. But if he is not pleased to redeem you, then I shall redeem you as Yahuwah lives. Lie down until morning. And she lay at his feet until morning. And she arose before one could recognize another. And he said, Let it not be known that the woman came to the threshing floor.
Uh-huh.
And he said, Bring the shawl that is on you and hold it.
Mm-hmm.
So she held it, and he measured 6 measures of barley and laid it on her. And she went into the city. And when she came to her mother-in-law, she said, Is that you, my daughter? And she explained to her all that the man had done for her. And she said, He gave me these 6 measures of barley. For he said to me, Do not go empty-handed to your mother-in-law. And she said, Wait, my daughter, until you know how the matter falls.
Yeah.
For the man is not going to rest until he has completed the matter this day.
Barak Yahuwah. Did he not say, I have work that you don't understand, or I have food that you do not understand? And he did not rest. He did not sit down at the right hand of the Father until his work was done. Barak Yahuwah. Go down to the threshing floor, Yahudah, and meet your kinsman redeemer. You need to understand the threshing floor. The threshing floor is where the wheat is threshed. It is threshed, and there's a separation that takes place down there. This is where the wheat is separated from the chaff, where the wheat is gathered and placed into the barn. In this season, this is where the wheat is being gathered, where that greater separation is occurring as we're going down to the threshing floor where our kinsman redeemer is, and where the wheat is being separated into the ark of the covenant. If you don't understand by now that we are the wheat, or at least you're supposed to be the wheat. We are the wheat. We are the grain. Yes, we are. Read your Torah. We are the wheat. The wheat represents you and I. It represents his covenant people. The wheat represents the first fruits from the soil. It represents Adam, mankind. As mankind here went down to the threshing floor to meet her kinsman redeemer, where the wheat is threshed and separated from the chaff. This is a threshing floor season. There's a threshing floor separation going on. The destroyer comes. I'm not going to speak more about that yet. The destroyer comes. There's a threshing floor separation going on where the wheat now is being threshed on the threshing floor as we, the bride, go down and lay at our kinsman redeemer's feet, who has the right of redemption. Hear him. Who has the right of redemption. Who has the right of redemption to redeem you from the hand of the adversary. Only he can pay the cost to redeem you from the adversary and loosen your bonds and your chains. Restore you back to freedom and to restore your possessions back to you. Go down to the threshing floor in this season. Lie at the feet of your kinsman redeemer, who has the right of redemption. There, uncover his feet, the place where the wheat is threshed and separated from the chaff and gathered into his barn. In this case, gathered into the ark of the covenant, to be kept safe from the hour of trial that is soon to come upon this earth. Come on, give us another chapter, little one.
The last one.
Chapter 4, Ruth chapter 4.
And Boaz went up to the gate and sat down there. And see, the Redeemer of whom Boaz had spoken came by. And Boaz said, Turn aside, so and so. Sit down here. And he turned aside and sat down. And he took 10 men of the elders of the city and said, Sit down here. So they sat. He then said to the Redeemer, Naomi, who has come back from the fields of Moab, sold the piece of land which belonged to our brother Elimelech.
I told you he came to redeem our possessions. Come on.
And I thought that I should disclose it to you, saying, buy it back in the presence of the inhabitants and the elders of my people. If you do redeem it, redeem it. But if you do not redeem it, inform me, so that I know. For there is no one but you to redeem it, and I am next after you. And he said, I redeem it. And Boaz said, on the day you buy the field from the hand of Naomi, you shall acquire Ruth the Moabitess, the wife of the dead, to raise up the name of the dead on his inheritance.
Barak Yahuwah, not only did he come to restore our possessions, but he came to get all mankind. All mankind. Adam, meaning mankind, our kinsman redeemer, came to get all mankind. And this beautiful story is being played out in the house of YAHUAH'S, the remnant of mankind. The olive tree, of whom possesses natural branches and wild branches. All of mankind can be redeemed via this olive tree. Whether Moabitess or Ammoni, all of man are rather than either me, rather than Edomite. All of mankind can be redeemed via this olive tree, via our kinsman redeemer, who came to redeem all of mankind, who came to redeem us from bondage and slavery, and who came to restore our possessions, provided that you lay at the feet of our kinsman redeemer. Go to him at the threshing floor. This is a threshing floor separation going on. Go to him, to the threshing floor, and lie at the feet of the kinsman redeemer. He came to redeem you, to separate you from the chaff which is reserved for destruction. Because the destroyer, he comes. He comes. And he has a legal right. The master has a legal right to redeem us from him. But if you're not redeemed from him, the destroyer will have a legal right to you, to destroy you. And if those days are not shortened, no flesh will remain. Our kinsman redeemer, Yahushua HaMashiach, is the greater separation. Go down to the threshing floor, where the wheat is separated from the chaff. He paid a high price to redeem us from death to life. A high price to redeem us from the hand of the adversary, of whom we were sold into bondage to, of whom all our possessions were sold to. He paid a high price to redeem us and to separate us unto life via his separated spirit, the separated Ruach, the Ruach HaKadosh, the separated Ruach. Harden not your heart if you hear this word tonight. Go down to your kinsman redeemer while you have time. Go down to the feet of your kinsman redeemer, the place where the wheat is separated from the chaff and gathered into the barn and gathered into the ark of the covenant while there is still time. This is a threshing floor separation. The destroyer comes. Come on, read little one.
And the Redeemer said, I am not able to redeem it for myself, lest I ruin my own inheritance. Redeem my right of redemption for yourself, for I am not able to redeem it. And this was formerly done in YAHUAH'S concerning redeeming and exchanging, to confirm every word. One man took off his sandal and gave it to the other, and this was a witness in YAHUAH'S. So the Redeemer said to Boaz, buy it for yourself. Then he took off his sandal. And Boaz said to the elders and to all the people, you are witnesses this day that I have bought all that was Elimelech's and all that was Kalyum's and Machalum's.
He redeemed their possessions and released them from bondage. Read, little one.
From the hand of Naomi, and also Ruth the Moabitess, the wife of Machalum, I have acquired as my wife, to raise up the name of the dead on his inheritance, so that the name of the dead should not be cut off from among his brothers and from the gate of his place. You are witnesses today. And all the people who were at the gate and the elders said, witnesses. Yahuwah make the woman who is coming to your house as Rachel and as La'ah, the two who built the house of Yasharal, and prove you worth in Apharatha, and proclaim the name in Baith Lakam, and let your house be like the house of Paratz, whom Tamar bore to Yehuda, of the seed which Yahuwah does give you from this young woman. And Boaz took Ruth, and she became his wife.
Come on.
And he went into her, and Yahuwah granted her conception.
Come on.
And she bore a son. And the women said to Naomi, Blessed be Yahuwah, who has not left you this day without a redeemer. And let his name be proclaimed in Yasharal.
Come on.
And he shall be to you a restorer of life and a sustainer of your old age. For your daughter-in-law who loves you, who is better to you than 7 sons, has borne him. And Naomi took the child and laid him on her bosom, and became a nurse to him. And the women, her neighbors, gave him a name, saying, There is a son born to Naomi. And they called his name Abad. He was the father of Ashai.
He was the father of Ishai.
The father
Jesse,
of Dawood.
the father of Dawood.
And this is the genealogy of Paratz. Paratz brought forth Kazroon.
Come on.
Kazroon brought forth Ram.
Yes.
And Ram brought forth Aminadab.
Yes.
And Aminadab brought forth Nakashum.
Yes.
And Nakashum brought forth Salmon.
Yes.
And Salmon brought forth Boaz.
Yes.
And Boaz brought forth Abad.
Yes.
And Abad brought forth Yishai.
Yes.
And Yishai brought forth Dawood.
And this Shai brought forth sovereign Dawood. We're talking about our kinsman redeemer, Yehuda. We're talking about our kinsman redeemer. This is Yahudi history. We're talking about our kinsman redeemer. You've seen the foundation. You've seen the foundation. The foundation has been laid. And this is a threshing floor separation. That greater separation is a threshing floor separation. We must go down to the feet of our husband. We must go down to the feet of our kinsman redeemer. Uncover his feet. Cover ourselves up in his covering, in his righteousness. Down to the threshing floor, the place where the wheat is separated from the chaff, where the wheat is threshed and separated from the chaff and gathered into the barn and gathered into the ark of the covenant, the place of safety. It is the greater separation that does this. It is the separated Ruach that does this. Boaz is a shadow. He is a shadow. He is the shadow of the Hamashiach because he is a Yehudi man. And this is the shadow of this Yehudi man coming to lay down his life for Adam, for mankind, Ruth, being of the nations, being of the Gentiles, a Moabite, of whom he redeemed and restored the possessions. Get the context, Yehuda. Get the context. This is a threshing floor separation, and we must go down to the threshing floor. It read here that that Boaz he went into Ruth because part of the right of redemption. Part of the right of redemption is if you have a brother who has a wife and she bears no seed for him. She bears no son for him. Then his brother who has the right of redemption, the elder, he goes into her to raise up seed, righteous seed for his dead brother. Get the context. Get the context here. Yahusha is the kinsman redeemer. He is our kinsman redeemer. He came at the second Adam. The command was given to Adam, be fruitful, multiply, subdue the earth, and fill it. He was supposed to fill the earth with righteous seed. But where he failed, our kinsman redeemer has succeeded. Because coming as the second Adam, he has poured out his Ruach HaKadosh. He has poured out the separated spirit. And through him, he has gone into his brother's wife. And he's raising up now righteous seed. Where his brother fell, where the first Adam fell, he has succeeded. We're talking about the right of redemption. We're talking about a greater separation. The raising up of righteous seed. Gathering the wheat into the barn. Laying down at the feet of our kinsman redeemer, of our husband, where the wheat, where the bride is separated from the wheat, from the chaff, and gathered into the barn, saved from the hour of trial that is soon to come upon the earth. In this season, This righteous seed that is being raised up equals to 144,000 worldwide. 144,000. He is the greatest separation. Yahushua HaMashiach, the separated Ruach. The Ruach HaKadosh, the Ruach of separation. He is the greatest separation that is separating the wheat from the chaff and gathering the wheat into the barn. But you must go down to his feet. You must go down to the threshing floor and lay at his feet. If you hear these words, Yahudah, harden not your hearts this night. Soon the destroyer is coming. And he's coming to gather the chaff, because the chaff belongs to him. The chaff is reserved for destruction. He owns it. He has a legal right to the chaff. Yes, he does. All those who have not been redeemed are chaff, and he has a legal right to the chaff. The chaff is reserved for destruction. He is the destroyer. The destroyer comes. Give us a precept, little one.
Deuteronomy 25, 5 through 9.
Deuteronomy chapter 25, verses 5 through 9. This is just a repeat of what the master just spoke. Deuteronomy chapter 25, verses 5 through 9. Beginning at verse 5, read, little one.
When brothers dwell together, and one of them has died, and has no son, the widow of the dead man shall not become a stranger's outside.
Do you understand the Torah? Are you getting an understanding of the Torah? Yahushua is the kinsman redeemer. He's the one that has the right to go in to his brother's wife because his brother's dead. Adam died, did he not? Yes, he did. He died on the day that you partake of this fruit. It's the day that you shall die. And so he failed to raise up righteous seed and to fill the earth. But where he failed, Yahushua HaMashiach has succeeded. Understand the Torah. It has to be laid down as a foundation to give him a legal right. He is Ruach, to give him a legal right to operate in this earth. Where it is written, it must occur, and all must obey it. Nothing can resist the righteous Torah. It is eternal. Come on, read, little one.
Her husband brother does go into her, and shall take her as his wife, and perform the duty of a husband's brother to her. And it shall be that the firstborn son which she bears does rise up for the name of his dead brother, so that his name is not blotted out of Yasharal. But if the man does not desire to take his brother's wife, then let his brother's wife go up to the gate to the elders and say, my husband's brother refuses to raise up a name to his brother in Yasharal. He does not agree to perform the duty of my husband's brother. The elders of his city shall then call him and speak to him, and he shall stand and say, I have no desire to take her. Then his brother's wife shall come to him in the presence of the elders, and remove his sandals from his foot, and shall spit in his face and answer and say, thus it is done to the man who does not build up his brother's house.
Rak Yahuwah. We're talking about a right of redemption and a greater separation and a threshing floor separation. Go down to the feet of your kinsman redeemer. Go down to his feet. Go down to the feet and allow the greater separation, the separating of the wheat from the chaff to occur. To allow him to marry you, to join himself to you via his Ruach, to allow him to join himself to you via his separated Ruach and separate you into his barn as his wheat, and to separate you from destruction, because the destroyer comes and he's coming to get what belongs to him. That is the chaff. He has a legal right to it. Adam sold it to him. Adam sold it to him. But our kinsman redeemer has paid a great price to redeem us from his hands. In this season, only 144,000 are going to have the seal of the living Elohim, having the seal of redemption, having the seal of redemption, having the seal of redemption from our kinsman redeemer, being redeemed from death to life, being redeemed from slavery, from bondage, from shackles and chains, being redeemed from the slavery that we were sold into via our father Adam, and having our possessions restored to us. I don't know how much longer he's going to speak through his servant. We have no more time. A greater separation, we're in the midst of it. And this is a threshing floor separation. The destroyer, he's coming to get what belongs to him. He's coming for the chaff. Go to the threshing floor. Don't be part of the chaff. Be a part of the wheat, to be gathered into the ark of the covenant, to be saved from the hour of trial. I think we got one more precept, little one.
You have two more. You have a statement. Adam God is our true leader.
Barak Yahuwah, that was already spoken.
Okay, then Isaiah 27.
Isaiah, Barak Yahuwah, got two more precepts. Two more precepts. Isaiah 27 in its entirety. Yeshayahu, chapter 27 in its entirety. We know Isaiah prophesied a Naba'ah to the north, to the house of Judah, to the house of Yahudah. Hear him. Hear him. All of this has been spoken to the house of Yahudah, to go down to the feet of your kinsman redeemer, to go down to the threshing floor. All of this, these words are for a remnant people. These words are for his covenant people. In this season, that covenant people is the house of Yahudah. As Ephraim is the chaff, it's the nations, it's every nation, tribe, people, and tongue who is still sold into slavery, who as a whole has not been restored to covenant and will not as a whole be restored to covenant until after the great distress, until after the chaff has been destroyed, the flesh has been destroyed, so that their souls will be saved. This message is to the house of Yahudah, his covenant people. Take heed and go down to the threshing floor. Go down to the feet of your kinsman redeemer. Be separated from the chaff. Be gathered with the wheat via the separated Ruach, via the greater separation, the Ruach HaKadosh, the spirit of separation, the Ruach of separation. Yahushua HaMashiach, your husband, our kinsman redeemer. Isaiah chapter 27, beginning at verse 1 in its entirety. Read, little one.
In that day, Yahuwah, with his severe sword, great and strong,
Yes.
punishes Leviathan, the fleeing serpent,
Yes.
Leviathan, that twisted serpent, and he shall kill the monster that is in the sea. In that day, sing to her a vineyard of red wine. I, Yahuwah, do guard it. I water it every moment, lest any hurt it. I guard it night and day. Wrath is not in me. Who would set thorn bushes and weeds against me in battle? I would go through them. I would burn them together. Or let him take hold of my strength and make shalom with me. Let him make shalom with me. Those who come he causes to take root in Yaakov. Yasharal shall blossom and bud, and they shall fill the face of the world with fruit. He has smitten him as he struck the ones who were striking him. Or as a killer was he killed as he was killing. In measure, by sending her away, you contended with her. He shall take away by his rough wind in the day of the east wind. Therefore by this the crookedness of Yaakov is covered. And this is all the fruit of taking away his sin, when he makes all the stones of the slaughter place like chalk stones, that are beaten to dust. Asherim and some pillars rise no more. For the city of defense is lonely, a home forsaken and left like a wilderness. There the calf feeds, and there it lies down, and shall consume its branches. When its twigs are dry, they are broken off. Women come and set them on fire, for it is a people of no understanding. Therefore he who made them has no compassion on them, and he who formed them shows them no favor. And in that day it shall be that Yahuwah threshes.
What?
Threshes.
Yahuwah threshes. Read.
From the channel of the river to the Wadi of Mitzrayim. And you shall be gathered one by one.
And you shall be gathered one by one. Read.
O children of Yasharal. And in that day it shall be that a great shofar is blown. And those who were perishing in the land of Ashur and the outcast in the land of Mitzrayim shall come and shall worship Yahuwah on the Kadush mountain in Jerusalem.
Where?
On the Kadush mountain in Jerusalem.
There's a threshing going forth, Yahudah. There's a threshing going forth, the threshing and the separating the wheat from the chaff to be brought to in his season. In this season, his Kadush mountain, Mount Zion. That number is 144,000 worldwide. Humble yourself. Humble yourself. Go down to the threshing floor, to the feet of your kinsman redeemer, Yahushua HaMashiach. A great price has been paid to redeem you from bondage, to redeem you from slavery, to redeem you from the hand of the adversary, to redeem you from destruction, and to bring you into life. A great price has been paid. Go down to the threshing floor. This is where the separation is occurring. Humble yourself. This is a threshing floor separation. The destroyer, he does come. Give us the last precept, little one.
Luke 3:16-17.
Luke chapter 3. Luke chapter 3, verses 16 and 17. Luke chapter 3, verses 16 through 17. Luke chapter 3, verses 16 through 17. Beginning at verse 16, read, little one.
Yahuwah then answered, saying to them,
Read.
them all, I indeed immerse you in water.
I indeed immerse you in water.
But one mightier than I is coming.
But one mightier than I is coming, the kinsman redeemer, Yahushua HaMashiach, the separated Ruach. Read.
Whose sandal strap I am not worthy to loosen.
Read.
He shall immerse you in the Kadosh Ruach.
He shall immerse you in the separated Ruach. Read.
And fire.
And fire. Read.
His winnowing fork is in his hand.
His winnowing fork is in his hand.
And he shall thoroughly cleanse his threshing floor.
And he shall thoroughly cleanse his threshing floor.
And gather the wheat into his storehouse.
And gather the wheat into his storehouse.
But the chaff he shall burn with unquenchable fire.
But the chaff he shall burn with unquenchable fire. Humble yourself, Yahudah. Hear his word. Do not neglect his word if you hear him this night. Harden not your heart. This is a threshing floor separation going on. Go down to the threshing floor, to the feet of your kinsman redeemer. The place where the wheat is separated from the chaff, where the wheat is to be gathered into the barn, is to be gathered into the ark of the covenant, but where the chaff is separated for destruction. The destroyer comes. He comes. Humble yourself. Loosen your stiff neck. Loosen your stiff necks. Harden not your hearts. Go down to the threshing floor. Go down to your kinsman redeemer. Let him redeem you with the seal of redemption, the separated Ruach, the separated spirit who separates us from the chaff, separates us from death to life, separates us from the hand of the adversary who has a legal right to the chaff, who's coming to destroy. He is coming to steal, to kill, and to destroy that which he has a legal right to. He legally stole it from Adam. He has a legal right to the chaff. He's coming to destroy. And Yahuwah is going to allow it so that the flesh, so that the soul of Ephraim will be saved. He's going to allow the destruction of the flesh, the destruction of the chaff. The flesh is the chaff. The Ruach is the wheat. Because we are only children of Elohim if we are born of Ruach. This is the wheat. The chaff is the flesh. He has a right to it. And the master is going to allow him to destroy it. To destroy the chaff. So that the souls of Ephraim, the younger son, will be saved. Hear his word this evening. Go down to the threshing floor. Go down to the feet of your kinsman redeemer. He has a legal right to redeem us. Harden not your heart. Speak to him. You are my kinsman redeemer. You have a right of redemption to me. You came to redeem me. Redeem me. Redeem me via your separated spirit, via your Ruach HaKadosh, the spirit of separation. You are the greater separation. Separate me with your wheat into your barn unto life. Deliver me from destruction. Thank you, Master, for your continual warnings. For your word, Master, to your people, to a remnant people. Your sheep will hear your voice, and another voice they will not follow. They will hear your voice, and they will follow your voice, Master. And they will go down to the threshing floor, down to your feet, the feet of our kinsman redeemer. And they will cry out to you for redemption. They will cry out to you for your Ruach HaKodesh, for the separated spirit. They will cry out to you. They will acknowledge the shed dam of Yahushua HaMashiach, the greater separation, and plead for your flesh and for your blood, for your dam, to partake of it, to partake of your separated spirit. Your sheep will hear you. It is my prayer that this word that has gone forth this night has gone forth across the four corners of this earth as a hammer that shatters, shattering both chain and shackle. Because where the anointing is, there is freedom. The anointing is the destroyer of the yoke. It is my prayer that the same anointing here is in every room, every house, every field, every closet, to whomever is listening under the sound of my voice. That as the anointing is here, that the anointing will manifest there and destroy the yoke. That they will fall to the feet of their kinsman redeemer. Cry out to him to receive the separated Ruach. To be separated from the chaff and to be separated with the wheat into your barn. It is my prayer that this wheat seed has not fallen by the wayside. It is my prayer that this wheat seed has not been thrown on shallow soil. It is my prayer that this wheat seed has not been thrown amongst thorns, but that this wheat seed has been thrown, scattered upon fertile soil, fertilized soil, good, vibrant soil made conducive to the planting of seed, such that your Ruach HaKodesh, the living water of the separated spirit, will come and water that seed, so that it will grow to a mighty tree, producing the fruit requisite of a Yahudi man and a Yahudi woman of your covenant people, producing the fruit that leads to everlasting life, so that we are found well-doing, so that we are gathered into your barn as first fruit, well-pleasing and acceptable unto you, and weighed before your Mount Zion as a first fruit offering, well-pleasing and acceptable unto you. In the name of Yahushua HaMashiach, our Master, I pray. So be it, so be it, so be it. For those of you on YouTube, once again, I pray that you've heard something that has challenged you, that has edified you, that has moved you, trembling with a reverent fear down to the threshing floor at the feet of your kinsman redeemer, the place where there is forgiveness of sin, the place where there is covering for your nakedness and your shame, the place where you can receive the separated Ruach at the threshing floor and be separated from the chaff and be gathered into his barn, into his ark of the covenant, and perhaps be saved from the hour of trial that is soon to come upon this earth, and perhaps escape being lured into the valley of Ono, where you may declare, oh no, how did I end up here? You will have no excuse. All who under the sound of my voice, you will have no excuse. If you are lured to the valley of Ono, you will have no excuse. You are without excuse if you are indeed lured to the valley of Ono, declaring, oh no, how did I end up here? Until the next time we meet, Yahuwah barak you and guard you. Yahuwah make his face shine upon you and show favor unto you. Yahuwah lift up his face upon you and give you shalom. Thus you shall put my name on the children of Yasha'al, and I myself shall barak them. So be it, so be it, so be it. Shalom.